We are live. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are live. And this morning on the Huddle, we are truly excited for a great live stream show. We're going to be talking about 5 tips on how to live stream with excellence. Now, notice I didn't say with perfection because none of us are perfect. But each and every one of us as content creators should be striving for excellence, striving to get better 1% when we produce content and we go live. And if you're struggling with that this morning, we have a great dynamic guest who's going to be sharing 5 tips on helping you to live stream with excellence. So do me a favor, grab yourself a cup of coffee, huddle up. It's time for the Huddle. Praise the Lord, everyone. Welcome to the Huddle. I'm your host, Walter Strong. If you're new here and you want to broaden your reach, your impact, and income through online video, then we welcome you to the show. And as we said this morning, we are excited. We're excited. We did a pre-live Huddle show over on Instagram to get everybody excited. And just tell your moms, tell your dad, tell every parent you know that has a high school student that you want to see them excel, not just in school, but in life. And also as a content creator, if we're creating content. And so we're excited. And so if you're joining us on YouTube this morning, let us know in the chat where you're watching us from. Let us know in the chat where you're watching us from and give us a hashtag Team Live. We already see we got our good man, Tech Troublemaker, already in the chat this morning. And my good man, Ash. Oh, Ash is not here. That's my good man, Adobe 5, but I'm quite sure Ash will be on his way. For those of you who are checking the replay, give us a hashtag Team Replay in the comment section. So without further ado, as I said, we're going to be getting into 5 tips on how to live stream with excellence. And we have a special guest who's going to be sharing with us this morning. So let me get her bio and get this queued over here, what I want to play. Pooh. And so this morning's guest is an award-winning author. She is a success student strategist, but most importantly, she is a woman of faith and a woman of excellence. This morning on the Huddle, we want to welcome the one, the only Miss Linnita Hosten.
Hey, Walter. So excited to be here. I
Good
love the
morning.
energy. Happy Saturday, everybody.
Hey man, hold on. We got to get the crowd here. The crowd wants to show you some love, so let's let them show you some love. All right, there we go. And a standing ovation for sharing some time out her schedule to be here on the Huddle. Thank you. So those of you who are joining us in the chat, let us know where you're watching us from. We got Equipped Institute and, of course, Tech Troublemaker. He's in the chat. You guys just get your pen, get your pad. We're going to be talking about live streaming, but we're going to be talking about content. We're going to be talking about life. We're going to be talking about our young people, about us as parents, as an adults, living life and excelling in excellence. And Linnita, thank you so much for taking time out your busy schedule, for being a part of the Huddle. And my first question, which we ask all our guests, is how did you find your passion to want to start working with young people and working in the high school and challenging them to stand on their own 2 feet and live life with excellence?
Yeah, I started really young. I'd say I attribute it back to my sophomore year of college. I came home for summer break, and I didn't have a job. And we have a Department of Parks and Recreation in my hometown. On the back of the pamphlet, it said to call if you're looking for summer employment. And I called the office blindly. I don't know what I will be doing or anything. And the woman said, "We have already filled every slot, but let's just see if any directors have any openings." And she transferred me, and the guy said, "I appreciate that you called. Something about you says you're hungry, so I don't have any slots, but I'll interview you, and if you're good, we'll put you in." So I went in for the interview, and I came dressed to kill, and
Mm-hmm.
I interviewed really well. And that was the first opportunity I had to work with students. They were of all ages, elementary, middle, and early high, and I loved it. I love being around them. I love that they challenged me. I love that they didn't bite their tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the creativity in getting them involved. So that was my first touch of experiencing working with them. And I knew that that's what I wanted. I wanted to find a way to be a part of their sphere of influence.
Wow, that is an exciting origin story. An exciting origin story there to just here you're at a point in your education and you're like, hey, look, sister needs some money in her pocket. And just being willing to take that step of faith and pick up the phone. I think that is definitely a word of encouragement, not just for our young people, but for us as content creators, just to be
Mm,
able to say, hey, where we're at, we have to look at this as an opportunity for
yep.
growth,
Yeah.
and just, you know, ask and pick up the phone and reach out and
Yep.
network. So that is definite. Um, I am a big fan of your live stream show called Excellence in Everything. And so my follow-up question would be, how did you come up with the concept for excellence in everything?
Well, it's actually my personal motto, excellence in everything, every time. It's something that I live by, and it's biblical. It's rooted in Ecclesiastes 9:10. Whatever you fix your hand to do, do it with thy might.
Mhm.
And which is excellence. I feel like what God gifts us, we have the responsibility to steward it well. And that includes when you show up in a room, when you're applying for something, when you're doing something, when you're working with people. And so it should be an excellence. It should reverence God. People should experience his love and light through you, your work, your conversation, your appearance. Like he should be evident without someone screaming, you know, him and Jesus and God, without someone screaming that, they should feel his presence. And
Mm.
so that is kind of like the meaning behind Excellence in Everything Live. But it used to be called Teenage Thursday. And I found that people were confused about who the content was for. It wasn't for teenagers, but we were
Mhm.
talking about content that affects those who love and lead them. And so I had to change the title. So I decided to name it after my personal motto, and I just put live behind it. So that's how we
Wow.
came up with the name.
So the response of your viewers, such as me over here, who would check you out, and others, as we were giving you feedback in the comment section, giving you feedback through other connections that they would connect you with, and just people that you talked with through just your regular journey, that encouraged you to make that important pivot.
Oh, absolutely. And I could see that other doors were opening where opportunities were coming beyond just the teen group. And I started very niche down, and to some degree, I'm still niche. But I wanted to speak to a larger group of people who are still in the sphere of influence for teens. And so taking the word teenager out, I feel like definitely helped. I saw the numbers change, and the titles of the sessions and topics that we were talking about changed too. And because we live stream on LinkedIn, where there are a lot of professionals who work in youth development, they have school communities, they work in like public service, they found the content to be valuable just with the name change. And
Wow.
so I'm glad that we changed it. I think it opens up the doors to have other guests, and it makes there's still a level of relevance, even though we may diversify topics, but the target audience is the same. It's the same. So yeah.
Wow. Hey, if you're listening, Team Live, she just dropped a bomb of a jewel on us, recognizing when you need to pivot. We're talking about how to live stream with excellence. And this is not even on the tip, but she just dropped a bomb jewel on us. When you're hearing your audience in the comment section, when you're hearing them in the DMs that they're sending you over on Instagram or on LinkedIn, if you're connected, and they're encouraging you to make that pivot. Make that pivot, because by she doing that, it's opened her up to so many other opportunities, just not in content creation, but in her profession. And so, bonus tip number one, before we even get to the tips, learn to listen to your audience. Learn to want to say good morning to my man. Christmas is early. Todd is in the chat. And so let's get into these 5 tips. And tip number one, since we got our bonus tip, Linnita, is sharing your passion. Why has it been so important to you as a content creator to use YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook to share your passion as a content creator and live streaming?
Walter, if I had a choice, I wouldn't be sharing it because it's extra work. Oh my gosh. See, no one wants to talk about that part. The consistency when you don't feel like it, when my hair isn't done, when I'm not in the best spirit or energy, when I'm drained, I don't have to. I choose to still show up consistently weekly. And I think that's important to maintain visibility. When you are building something, building community or gaining traction or attempting to be recognized for your lane of genius, people need to see you show up consistently, not halfway, not when you feel like it. There's a level of seriousness that's perceived when you are consistently true to self. And so I choose to create content relevant to my brand. And obviously, that's lead generating to maintain visibility with my target audience. That is the primary reason.
Show up even when you don't feel like it. Show up even when the passion is low, but you still got the discipline to be able to show up. That's powerful. That is powerful. Hey guys, if you're just joining us this morning in the chat, we're talking about 5 tips on how to live stream with excellence. So I need you to get your pen, your pad this morning. We'll certainly recognize you in the chat, in the comments as we go. But give us a hashtag team live and hashtag. See, I prepared it so many times. Hashtag excellence in everything. Tip number 2, finding your audience. Now, see, I stumbled across you when I first started watching your content. And the way I stumbled across you, you were a part of a panel with JP High Tech. It was like a virtual video conference that you guys all did last year, I believe.
It was dope too.
Right. And then when I found out about your show, I stumbled across you on a Tuesday night. So I remember when it was Teenage Tuesday. And but like me, so many others who are looking for great content, what has been your strategy to find the right audience?
It took me years. It probably took me 5 to 6 years to get clear on who my audience was. And part of that was because I was not investing in the growth of my business. And when I say growth, I mean by coaching, knowledge, persons to help me with my messaging. When I made that investment and got really clear about who my audience was, because it's a little tricky when you work with people who don't have the money to pay you. Students don't have the money to pay me. It's their parents, it's their organizational leaders, it's their community groups. They are my clients, but the end user is my student. And so for 6 or 5 years, all of my content was directly related to the student. Nothing wrong with that. But at the stage of business where you're building visibility and attempting to lead generate, you have to lead generate with the buyer. And so I had to pivot to learning the language of my client, which are organizational leaders, like I said, in community groups, in school communities, and parents, and speaking to them and infusing in that language my work with students. Then it just took off. But I'll be honest, I was so I had a lot of discomfort thinking about speaking another audience's language because I felt like, no, I'm supposed to be working with young men and women. Like that's the language that I speak. I don't speak adult language, and I felt inadequate. And I remember I did this challenge in 2020. It was called the Power Parent series. It was for 30 days. I went live for 30 days in a row,
Mm-hmm.
nightly. When I couldn't be in my office area, I would have to do it from my phone in the car. Like, because sometimes you just can't be,
Okay.
And the series was powerful. It was probably like my most viewed live stream series ever.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time that I was speaking their language, and it grew my confidence. I also got a client from that too in San Antonio, hired
Mm-hmm.
me to come in and coach their students during the pandemic. I never met the woman. She just came to the 30-day series.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting when we feel inadequate and God has already equipped us,
Mm-hmm.
we're
Mm-hmm.
just taking that extra step, just trusting that what we have is enough. Like, you have everything already,
Mm-hmm.
and just trusting your gut. And when I did that, it gave me a confidence boost. Like, okay, I'm okay with speaking their language. I can speak their language. And so now it's just natural. So I speak to both. Yeah.
Wow. Hey, that is powerful. If you guys are getting great value out of this live stream masterclass this morning with our guest, woman of excellence, Linnita Hosten, I need you to do me a favor. Smash the like button, click the thumbs up, share this on your favorite social media channel. Share it, share it, share it, share it, share it by email. Share it in the next room with the person that's sleeping. Say, you need to get up and watch this. And we are on YouTube, and we are also on LinkedIn Live. So I just appreciate all of you. And team replay, let us not just get too far in the broadcast and forget about you. You're the crew, you're the posse, you're the online squad. And so we want to ask you to give us a hashtag team replay. Tip number 3, and you touched on it already,
Mhm.
building confidence when you go live, building confidence
Mhm.
on camera. So you were saying when you did the 30-day, what was the initial feeling? You knew you needed to do this 30-day, but what was the lead up to the point that springboarded you to help you to build that confidence?
Yeah, that was advised by my coach. No one wanted to do it, by the way. I was in a group coaching program. We were like, what? First of all, who got time to be doing that? And women, we got to do our hair, we got to do our makeup. And I didn't have a setup like this. I was setting up every day. I was using my phone. And
Mhm.
so I didn't want to do it. I did it grudgingly. But one thing about me, when someone challenges me, I may have reservations internally, but externally, I'm going to live up to the challenge.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I was nervous. I'm like, what in the world? Like, how am I nervous? And I can't even see a person. There's no one but me. I
Mhm.
mean, sweating bullets and everything. And it became like over time, it was easy. Like, okay, it's time to go live. But
Mhm.
I will say this, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead.
Mm.
Preparation is huge for me. I don't
Mm.
do anything without preparing. I never show up and wing anything. And the reason
Take your time with that. I'm break it down for the Huddle community to give us the secret sauce of your preparation strategy.
Listen, it's a really big part of my content creation.
Mhm.
Um, oh man. All right. So if I have to scale it all the way back,
Mhm.
I plan in October, I'm gonna plan out 2023.
Mm.
Obviously, you have 4 quarters. My slow quarters are first and fourth. Two,
Mhm.
two and third are beaming. I know that. So I plan my content around what will drive sales when I need sales.
Mm.
So the first quarter of the year, if I'm not bringing in guests to generate community, to generate awareness,
Mhm.
um, then I am like running promo or sales or discounts in intertwined in content that I think people would like. So let me give you some examples of this. Okay, for example, we're coming up on the end of the year. I'm
Mhm.
about to do a tour for community leaders. It's gonna be called Me, Myself, and I, Inside Out. But
Mhm.
we will be using emotional intelligence and emotional maturity to equip those who work front line with students. We're going to be doing a tour. So we'll come
Mhm.
to your school for free of charge, except there's some limitations on that, like where it's located and those
Okay.
other things. But all of my content for the month of November and December will be around that. Manage your emotions in difficult classrooms. What do you say? What not to say when you've reached level 10? 10 signs that you've reached level 10 in a disagreement.
Mm.
How to identify you're in a toxic work environment. So
Mm.
I'm creating content around the areas that I'm going to lead them to in December.
Mhm.
So when I start doing those shows, um, I'll probably have like a promo in the beginning that says something like, "Hey, I'm excited. We'll be traveling to do a tour. If you found this information helpful, we can come to your community and talk more about it with your staff." So, like that. So,
Mm.
that takes planning. And I research everything. I never just show up and speak from the top of my head. I read books, I attend events, I watch webinars, and I'm learning consistently. And then I'm coming back and I'm sharing that information. So
Mhm.
people always say your content is so rich. Is that intentional? The answer is yes, it is.
Mhm.
Because I define myself as an edutainer, meaning I take education related topics and I present them in like an entertaining way. That
Mhm.
means I have to be knowledgeable.
Mm.
And so, and that's excellence. That's all God wants us to do is our absolute best quality of effort. And
Mhm.
that takes planning. So at a very high level, that is how I plan my content. And it does take a lot of preparation. It takes me about to plan for my show,
Mhm.
the weekly show, maybe 4 hours altogether of like content ideation and then
Mhm.
planning it out, looking for visuals, researching statistics, bringing in photos, researching videos to add them in, and then developing like what I'm bringing to the table. Because I don't regurgitate what I read, I'm absorbing it and I'm like, okay,
Mm.
well, what is your thought on this? 'Cause people identify me as a thought leader. So I have to convert my learning into like my opinion. And so I break that down. So that's a very long response to your question, but that's the truth.
Hey, but that's what you need. I mean, Equip Institute said, yeah, preparation, preparation, preparation is vital. So,
Yeah.
hey, so sometimes we need to just draw it all out. We want to say good morning to Miss Leona for checking out the huddle this morning. And if you guys have any questions or comments, definitely put them in the chat for Miss Linnita, and we'll definitely do our best to get to them. Give us a hashtag Team Live in the comments section, and those of you who are a part of the replay, give us a hashtag Team Replay in the comments section. Smash the like button for me, and if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, we want to encourage you to subscribe and click the alert notification. Tip number 4. And see, all of that, what you just said, it's like that's where why your content is so quality.
Mm.
I mean, I sit there and I just listen there at times. I'll just put in your comment section after checking a replay. Oh, I gotta hashtag. I gotta watch this again. I gotta watch this again because I may not have a pen and a paper to take
Mm.
notes. So while I'm sitting down working on other content, listening to your show, I'm
Mm.
like, no, you got to go back and watch that again. You got to go back and listen to that again, because it's going to help you, not as just as a content creator, but as a parent of a high school
Mm.
student who's now in the 12th grade. And
Mm.
she's always excelled, high honor roll. She's never really gotten anything less than 95. But it seems like, okay, now we're at the finish line
Yeah.
of that journey, what they talked about. Though
Yeah.
they said ninth grade, to me, the journey was when she first walked in preschool
Mm.
with a uniform, and she was just doing well in all her getting all fours and stuff. And I'm like, wow, now we're at for the finish line for high school, because I
Yeah.
know there's still more to come, but
Yeah.
just the content is so quality. And 3 tips that you would share with content creators, and you've already talked about one was research, but what would be 2 additional tips on being able to make quality content for your viewers?
Yeah. I think this is something that I learned in practice. I was very disappointed, and there's still improvement for my viewership numbers, but I've seen them almost triple when I implemented this. So I'm trained as a keynote speaker, meaning people don't talk back. I'm literally sharing audibly for 60 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes, depending on the request of the client. So I'm accustomed to a one-way conversation. So when I first started live streaming, it was a one-way conversation. If someone said something, in the comments, I respond, but I was not intentional about infusing questions throughout so that they could feel like they were a part. So it feels like a dialogue and not a monologue.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my first tip. When I write, because I write out what I'm going to say, not verbatim, but kind of like a high level outline. But the questions that I intend to ask as it relates to me transitioning to topics or videos, I write them out and I highlight them in my show notes. So I'm intentional about making it a dialogue. So right before I lead into my intro, I'll say, I have a question, so that while the intro is playing, because there's a slight delay,
Mm-hmm.
while the intro is playing, they're responding to that question. So
Mm-hmm.
they're always engaged, like little things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so let's say the topic is on, last week it was on having hard conversations softly. Before I went to the intro, which is like 30 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
I said, give me an example of a hard conversation, because that's what we're going to talk about today, right after this intro. And so they
Mm-hmm.
have time to respond. When I come back, I acknowledge them and their response. So being intentional about how you engage them. And now I have the habit of asking, tell me what you learned today. And I say that, but I'm prepared to share a personal story while they are gathering their thoughts to write. And that is how I now close the show. So once I finish the core points I want to share, I'm like, tell me what you want to learn today. And I'll say, while you're doing that, I want to share this before we sign off. And I'll recount a story related to what I taught that day.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have increased comments, specifically on Facebook, more people are like, well, what was that about? Let me see you, because people were engaging. And I
Mm-hmm.
found that to be really helpful. I was not doing that at first, and my comments were very low, and my
Mm-hmm.
replay numbers were low. But when I started doing that, I saw an increase.
Mm-hmm.
Being intentional about how you engage your viewers outside of just, hey, I see you,
Mm.
them, to
Hey
be,
B, hey Boo, hey C, hey D. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't let me get
nothing
started,
wrong with
please.
that.
Don't let me get started.
And to sometimes, just depending on how skilled you are, that distracts you from your flow.
Mm-hmm.
I feel pretty skilled at being able to engage and then redirect, but I've been speaking for almost 10 years. So a lot of that is trained. So I can, but most people, I find, you get lost, you can get lost in that engagement piece. So just being intentional about that. So that's one. The other thing I would say is, I think there should be a supplement to everything that you share. I
Mm-hmm.
think you should have a visual to illustrate your point. So if it doesn't even have to be, it could be a meme, it could be a TikTok, but something should drive home. And this is the edutainer in me. So all of
Okay.
these skills just kind of transfer over to live streaming, but something should stimulate every type of listener who's coming. So if you have a visual listener, they're watching, their learning is like, um, maybe hyper engaged when you have a visual element to further demonstrate your point.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm teaching on the mind, I don't bring in a physical mind, but I could.
Mm-hmm.
And if I allow students to touch it and let them feel it, that is them having a tactical, hands on approach. While you can't do that digitally, you could certainly show people things so that their sensory
Mm-hmm.
could activate and they could get an idea of what it would feel like, and what if you could touch it or if you could smell it. And same thing with hearing. So they're already there hearing you, but if you
Mm-hmm.
could provide a visual element to everything that you share, and not every point, but infusing that in, I think those supplements do help to create what I would consider an entertaining and highly engaging content. And that's my goal. I plan to talk, but I have a lot of things I want to share. And if you ever come to a show and I didn't share anything, it is likely I had a really busy week and I didn't have time to prep. But
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, 80% of the time, you will see all of those things. And that's intentional.
This is true. I'm telling you, I've watched their content, just maybe not week after week, but I make sure at least 2 to 3 times out of the month, I am watching excellence in everything. Hey guys, in the chat, give me a hashtag excellence in everything. We're talking about 5 tips on how to live stream with excellence.
Mm.
Live stream with excellence. Tip number 5. Tip number 5, having a consistent message. Let me set this tip up for our viewers and for you, Linnita. You were on Facebook because we're connected.
Mhm.
and you did a post regarding a TikTok video that you did with a family member.
Mm.
And when you talked about in the TikTok message on the video on Facebook about how this TikTok video blew up,
Mm.
exploded. It just the numbers were like it really caught you like, wait a minute, this is just a regular video with family members. And it opened up a temptation for you
Mm.
almost from what I got from your video and what you were saying in the video, that you could have continued to do that, but you were disciplined to say, though I enjoy this and this was a family moment on TikTok with them,
Mm.
I have to keep my message consistent and my brand message consistent so that I don't confuse my viewers.
Yeah.
And as content creators, that can be a challenge for a lot of us. It challenged me because at the time I was doing a lot of sports content on Facebook,
Mm.
doing YouTube stuff on YouTube, and people were confused. They said, "Well, the Huddle's a sports show. The Huddle's a." I'm like, "No,
Mm.
no, it's not a sports show." But you do sports on Facebook, and when you said that on your video about having a consistent branding message, I said, "Ding dong, bro,
Mm.
you got to stop this.
Mm.
You're not Stephen A. Smith. You're not Shannon Sharp. You're not Skip Bayless. You're not Chris Broussard.
Mm.
You are an online coach, live stream producer on YouTube. That's what you tell people. You got to have a consistent brand. So
Mm.
that's the setup here for today's tip here.
I love it. Yeah, it is very easy to go with where you see most people are gravitating to, but I don't always think that that's an indication of uh, where the core of your message should change. Well, for me, I want my work to be in alignment to my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And sharing lifestyle content and family content is something that I do, but it's not the primary use to drive engagement. And if I do show those things, it is very, I always tie it back to something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just like, hey, shopping at Gucci, got a pair of red bottoms, enjoying my weekend.
Mm-hmm.
If I did that, and I would never do that, I just think that's obnoxious. But
Right.
if I were to do that, I may say something like, it's such a privilege to do what you love and be able to buy the things that you want, even when you don't need them. These are
Mm-hmm.
things that our kids can learn over time. And so luxury items may not be something that they can buy right now, but if
Mm-hmm.
we're training them to be highly skilled, they can get whatever they want. You see how I'm telling you that my lifestyle might be that, but there's substance basically
Okay.
and why I would share that. So I don't think that you can't, but you can. It just needs to always drive back your core message so that
Mm-hmm.
you remain in alignment. It's really easy to venture off. So every now and then I do have silly things like birthday
Mm-hmm.
posts and that sort of thing. But for the majority, when someone is scrolling on your timeline, it shouldn't take too many scrolls for them to see what your core message and purpose is. It
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't even be two scrolls. So if you're thinking about that in terms of what you share and how often, just think
Mm-hmm.
about if someone who does not know you came across you without scrolling without a whole big two scrolls, they could
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, this person they should be able to do that."
Mm-hmm. Clarity. So the minute they come across, rather on LinkedIn, there's a clear message and a clear brand. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, there's a clear message and a brand across the board.
Yeah.
That is so powerful for us as content creators. So powerful. And I believe that would alleviate a lot of the frustration and confusion sometimes when we get into those fogs of lack of clarity on should
Mm.
I should I pivot? Should I start another YouTube channel? Whereas, like you were saying, if we take the time back in the beginning, listening to the audience, listening to the comment section. Now, I can hear it now. It's saying, well, I've been creating content for a minute, but I'm not getting a lot of comments in the comments.
Mm.
maybe the comments are coming off platform of YouTube. Maybe they're coming in LinkedIn. They're coming in on Facebook. They're coming somewhere else, but you're not paying attention to those comments. And
Mhm.
as a result of you changing the title from Teenage Tuesdays, I probably just screwed it up. I am so sorry. To Excellence in Everything. That pivot has been, I can see it as a viewer.
Mm.
As a viewer, and here you're the host, and just to hear about the opportunities, that major pivot has given you so much clarity and so much more in opportunities as you're in your journey on YouTube. That's just
Mm.
powerful.
And I want to say, like, clarity takes time. It is not a microwave thing. You actually have to be doing it for some time to
Mm,
develop enough data to even pivot.
mhm,
So sometimes we quit too soon. Like you got
mm,
to do it enough to get enough like feedback, and then you establishing clarity and like trusting the alignment that God sends you on. But
mhm,
yeah, it takes time. I don't know anybody who just came out the gate and it was clear and they kept their message the same. I think refining your message over time is like that's normal.
mm,
So just trust the process. Just I always think if we're doing our absolute best and we're always listening, being very like evaluating self and listening to feedback, the ducks will align and
mhm,
just trust that.
mm. All right, gotta trust the process.
Mhm.
Now, not only are you a student success strategist and a woman of excellence, but you are an award-winning author. So you have a book here called The Pursuit of Black Excellence. So you guys want to check out her website. All of the information is in the description. You definitely want to get information about her book on the pursuit of Black excellence. But I want to ask you this two-part question. Why was it important for you to write this book, and what did you feel was missing from the conversation that
Mm.
your voice needed to be heard and not echoed?
I think what's missing is our students developing their own sense of self without the noise coming from school leadership, their teachers, and their parents. There's an underdeveloped self that I meet when I'm interacting with new careerists and college students. So I
Mhm,
started in the college realm and I reverse engineered back to high school because I saw areas of opportunity where students were underdeveloped in their core identity.
mhm,
And that has a lot to do with the things that you feel you're competent and capable of going after, which would determine your college major or your decision post high school, if it's military or trade school or starting a business, entrepreneurship. So, your identity and view of self, your self concept, your interest, your inner critic, your inner coach, if that's underdeveloped, then what you're aiming to achieve sometimes is too low. So
mm,
I wrote The Pursuit of Black Excellence for Teens because I feel like if we could get our kids to be so keen of self, people say things like, they're way too young to know what they want to do. And I do not believe that that is true. Because if you look at people who we admire today, we consume either their products, we consume their digital media, music, TV shows, their ability to be athletic. They were doing that very young.
mm,
I could give you so many examples. Tiffany Haddish was being comedic when she was young, helping her mom fight through her mental illness. Kevin
mm,
Durant, at 11 years old, said he wanted to be in the NBA. Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, Naomi Osaka, like these people, Mark Zuckerberg, they were young and affectionately passionate about that thing. And
mhm,
they are still doing that thing. They are proof that you can conceptualize in your heart, in your mind, the thing that you feel like you're passionate about, and it could come to pass. So I don't think it's true when we say our kids they are too young to know. No, they are
mhm,
able to know. We're responsible of helping them unlike ravel that. And so the
mhm,
Pursuit of Black Excellence for Teens is meant to do that. So it's a workbook and it's broken down into three, I call them collections instead of like units like a book.
mhm,
Three collections, and the first one is self-excellence. Everything I talked about, they're doing like exercises about that. There are 10 exercises in each collection.
mhm,
Once you develop clarity of self, I feel like now it's time to be exercising that in your community. So the
mhm,
next collection is community excellence. And then the final collection is life excellence. And it's a lot of exercises, a lot of introspection, a lot of research. It's a tool. It's not a book that you read, you got to do. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like if we're equipping our kids to answer these kinds of questions that are in there, it's writing prompts. It's a great tool for like if you have an existing group of kids, you mentor, you coach them, and you're always looking for a way to edify them, strengthen them. I think it's a great tool for that. Or if you're a parent that's very intentional about like, I want my kid to have this self perception or this identity that's so strong that it's really difficult to deviate from that when life gets difficult. Like you're building that kind of person. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a great tool. So yeah, that was an opportunity to like, come on, we got to come in here and strengthen the mindset of our kids so that they can continue to excel. So yeah.
Hey, one as the young people say, 100, 100, 100, 100. My daughter's probably in the room. She's gonna go, Dad, we don't say that anymore.
We can say no cap. It's no cap. That's what we say now. So you gotta keep up, Walter. I gotta keep up. I got the
Yeah,
whole Urban Dictionary.
yeah, okay, hey, definitely.
So no cap.
Where can our viewers here on Team Live, Team Replay, and to all my online listeners, whether if you're at work right now checking us out, you're in the gym working out, or you're doing the special project, we want to thank you for just listening. I see you in the chat, whether if you're on Team Live or Team Replay on YouTube or LinkedIn. We see you and we want to acknowledge you. So,
Mhm.
Linnita, where can they get more information about you, your book, and some of the upcoming meetings that you'll be having so that they can tune in?
Yeah, well, you can catch me every Tuesday at 8:30. What time my live stream? 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. If you wanted to just experience what that is like, but you can find me on every platform at Linnita Hosten, and and you can Google that too. It's just everywhere. It's not going to be hard for you to find. But I'm trying to think, do I have anything upcoming that's public? I don't, but I have some things that are coming. So just stay connected. Primarily, I would say Facebook and LinkedIn. But you can catch me on Instagram and TikTok as well. You can shoot me an email if you like at info@lanitahosten.com. But if you just Google Linnita Hosten, you'll find a way to connect. And my team and I are very responsive. And if you want to purchase a copy of the book, you can do so at The Pursuit for Teens, thepursuitforteens.com.
All right. Linnita, thank you so much to take time out your busy schedule, out of just the planning process that you said in your planning, and just to take a few minutes to come here on the huddle. We are truly appreciative. I know we tried to get you back during the month of March for Women in Excellence, but I think you were in the middle had a conference
Hmm.
with JP and some of the other guests that we all know, and so just taking time out your schedule, truly appreciate. We're definitely Team Live. We definitely gonna become Team Live and Team Replay together just to watch this over and over. So thank you. I want to just put you in the green room right quick and just give a few closing remarks, and then we'll talk after we end the broadcast.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
All right. So let's we'll get her down there. All right, Team Live. What do you think? Better yet, not what do you think? What is one tip that you took from this masterclass? One tip for me is having a consistent brand and message. And if I had to have a 1A, it's about recognizing what your viewers are saying in the comment section, what they are saying to you that can help you pivot your live stream, your content. What is one thing you can take from this morning's masterclass? Give me quickly in the chat. I see my man Todd. He had mentioned about So True having an 8-year-old. So we definitely saw that. Those of you who are checking us out on the replay, if you're checking us out on LinkedIn, you definitely want to share this live stream. Yes, it's content creation, but it's about our students, but it's also about us as adults in doing everything with excellence. So we wanted to put this show on. So, guys, I want to thank you all for checking this out this morning. Next week, we will be having our huddle hangout after the huddle at 12 p.m. So we were looking forward to seeing those of you. Todd, I definitely want to make sure you get the information for the huddle hangout. So I'll send you a DM and Instagram. And so, guys, as we bring this to a close, we always close out by saying, many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails in our lives. Make a quality decision today, guys. Make a quality decision and let God's purpose prevail in your life. We'll see you on Wednesday, midweek huddle. God bless.